Hollywood, there are just some creations out there that should not be given life at all. Victor Frankenstein is a sort of retelling of Mary Shelley's original novel, and is told from the perspective of the assistant Igor, who's played by Daniel Radcliffe. Igor starts out as some freak in a circus, hunchback freak who's like crawls everywhere, sort of like Gollum, but he comes across Victor Frankenstein, played by James McAvoy, and Frankenstein decides, you know what, this guy is super smart for being a circus clown. I'm gonna break him out, fix him up to look like a normal human being. He's gonna be my assistant. We're gonna create life! So basically the whole movie is a buddy science movie. If you took Tony Stark and Bruce Banner from the Avengers and just made an entire movie off them and do it very poorly. This is one of those movies that comes out usually in the fall that has some potential and tries to be pretty edgy and cool, but it just kind of falls flat. And I remember when this movie was coming out and I heard Daniel Radcliffe was going to play Igor, and I'm like, wait a minute. Igor is supposed to be an ugly looking dude. You're casting him as it? Because Daniel Radcliffe, he's a good-looking guy. What do you have in mind for this? So, I don't know, it's just a weird casting decision. It kind of works out in the sense that he and James McAvoy, as Victor Frankenstein, do have good chemistry with each other. They play off really well. There are a few points where Daniel Radcliffe does not really bring his A game in compared to James McAvoy, who has such high energy that you can't help but say, you know what, he looks like he's really having a good time with this movie. But then again, I understand that Igor is supposed to come from the mindset of someone who's new to this civilization and basically discovering who Frankenstein is. So they do have good chemistry. And that's probably the only good thing I can think of, because this is pretty boring. Out of all the movies I've seen this year, this was one where I had a difficult time staying awake. It was tough to watch. This movie is more science talk and talking about the ideas of creating life out of death, but not a whole lot of actually doing that. It's so boring. As I said, I dozed off in this movie, and this is the only movie this year where I've actually dozed off. One thing that didn't help was the movie's villain. Andrew Scott plays this inspector who has some sort of vendetta against Frankenstein and wants to stop him. And his performance is just really terrible. I mean, I know he's on Sherlock as Moriarty, so maybe he works there, but here he's so bland. And he pretty much gives the same performance he gave Inspector. Just this boring, low energy, I just got back from the pub performance. He really did look like he was drunk at some parts in this movie. It is just so boring. And speaking of Sherlock, one of the things I caught by watching this trailer is, wow, this movie really wants to be Sherlock Holmes, the one with Robert Downey Jr. And this movie kind of proves that point. To the extent where Frankenstein can see the organs and bones inside of people, we see his point of view through like drawings of the human body inside, and it just is so corny. Like, I really get the idea that Max Landis, who wrote the script, wanted this to be Sherlock Holmes so bad, and I feel like that time has passed. I mean, the last Sherlock Holmes movie was 4 years ago. I don't think people care anymore. So I don't have much to say. I mean, the idea of telling this story from Igor's perspective is a neat idea. I'll give the movie props for that, but it's done with terrible execution. It's boring, it's paced poorly, it feels too long, it's unintentionally funny, which out of the whole theater of critics, I was probably the one who was laughing the loudest at some unintentionally funny moments. So I apologize to other critics there. The parts that try to be funny aren't really funny, and the parts that aren't are for some reason. So I don't have any hate for this movie. It's just okay. I would never watch it again. I don't recommend people to see it. But if you caught it on TV, it might be worth it for the dynamic between James McAvoy and Daniel Radcliffe. So, don't waste your money on this movie. I'll say that. But again, if you catch it on TV, it won't kill you. And that's my review for Victor Frankenstein. I would have rather have watched Young Frankenstein instead of this movie, but Anyway, leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Don't forget to check out my official website, therealmrrobinson.com. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, and Periscope. And this is The Real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.